Welcome to this week's chapter review of Mashle Magic and Muscle Chapter 69, Wahlberg Bygone and the Magic of Time. The chapter starting off with Wahlberg and Father facing one another down within the cloud-covered space they find themselves in. Necros nor Adam in sight as the two strongest magic users of the current world stare each other down as Father finally raises his wand to begin the fight, casting a spell known as Time's Cold. However, before the attack is able to land, Wahlberg teleports himself away along with the space he was in, something which easily tips Father off as he glances backwards to find Wahlberg appearing behind him. Wahlberg attempting to strike out at his foe with space's bout, which seems to create a large swishing tear from his wand, finds that he himself isn't the only one capable of avoiding attacks in an instant. As Father appears behind him, and as Wahlberg turns to glance backwards at Father, the mysterious leader of Innocent Zero manages to land Time's Rewound. All the while Wahlberg is wondering how he managed to get there so quickly, and if he possibly manipulated time without him noticing. As the attack lands, Wahlberg's left side begins to sizzle as black smoky waves flow out of it, along with several Roman numerals coming flying out of it. In contrast to the spell's name, which refers to rewinding something, this spell instead seems to rapidly age what it hits, as the skin all down the left side of Wahlberg's body begins to shrivel and age to the point that it looks beyond frail. Father, like so many villains in fiction, cannot resist taunting Wahlberg, saying the next one to go will be his legs. Instead of just unleashing his attack, he gives the man time to think. Wahlberg himself concludes that Father is attacking during the openings in his attack, and not only that, but he possesses the power required to release such tremendously dangerous time spells so quickly. This results in Wahlberg, a genuine monster himself compared to just about everyone else we have met in the series, calling Father a monster for how strong he has gotten. This prompts the man into using his magic to try and cut out the whole space they are in, using a much larger version of space's bout. Going even further, he continues to cut the space so that Father won't have a chance to attack during the time lag, resulting in a swirling, twisting and contorting mass of energy resembling a cyclone of some sort. The spell seems to take a considerable chunk out of the man's stamina as he begins rapidly panting. I cannot say for certain if the reason why such a spell took so much from him is because of the effect of having half his body aged rapidly, but it cannot be doing him any good, that is for sure. It also does not help that this has zero effect on Father, who just appears behind mocking his hard work, saying that it would take a lot more than that to defeat him, before unleashing Time's Rewound yet again as Wahlberg's eyes fly wide open. This is the result of the man getting struck by the spell head-on and seemingly having his left arm being completely destroyed, as the man's eyes turn white for a moment as he drops his wand onto the ground, and as the man kneels down to pick it up with his remaining good arm, Father can't resist mocking him even further, tell him how useless this is, how the difference between them has become too great. How he prioritized himself, his ambitions over everything else, with no sacrifice he wasn't willing to make, while Wahlberg on the other hand was always watching those around him and never putting himself first. Claiming that those without ego are weak, and we get a rather pretty shot of Father's face up close, which strikingly reminds me of Griffith, both with his appearance and with his ideals of putting himself and his ideals ahead of everything else. But anyway, he continues on saying how he doomed himself by letting others in, and it's too bad, as he points his wand directly at the man. Wahlberg closes his eyes and begins to remember his youth while questioning if someone's life is really for themselves alone. Remembering how he was born frail, with no outstanding grades, and being a coward, there was no place for him in school, so he rarely attended. We get to see a young Wahlberg alone in a bed reading while children run around and play outside his window. He remembers how a lack of confidence made him fearful of being rejected by others, so in order to avoid it he rejected them first, gaining a pessimistic view of the world, considering it bland and boring, up until he met Adam, who appears rather comedically behind him, telling him that a capybara can run 50 kilometers per hour and to come to school. From there we see how Adam would come to visit him quite often, trying to convince him to come to school and telling him strange animal trivia. Regardless of Wahlberg's denials, the weather or the boy's anger, Adam kept on trying to get himself involved with the young Wahlberg. At one point we even see them playing chess together. Wahlberg's younger self eventually asked him why he would go out of his way for him, and Adam, like every great anime protagonist, gives him the simple explanation of he can't just leave him on his own. While giving a kind smile, Adam tells him yet another animal fact, not that Wahlberg was listening, instead he internalized those words and Adam's actions, feeling as if they had saved him from himself. From there we return to the present with Wahlberg opening up his eyes again. Nice and simple flashback, but it effectively got across Wahlberg's motivation, so I like it. And so back in the present, Wahlberg rebukes father's words, telling him that he is free to live for himself if that is what he wants, but he himself is only alive because of the goodwill of others, so no matter what he can't ignore those weaker than himself. After saying that, a bright light begins to flow out of Wahlberg's body while father realizes what he is doing. As among three-liners there are very few have access to what he considers to be the epitome of magic. Wahlberg confirms that he is betting his life on this next spell, which is called Space's Third Uranus Inclination. This has the result of summoning a gigantic humanoid figure wearing a robe and having hands made of rectangular blocks and having several floating tiles flying around it, while between its hands appears to be a miniature sun. Either way, this is an intimidating sight, and it reminds me quite a bit of Carpaccio's goddess statue. Again, I'm reminded of my theory that the Master Canes are just the result of permanently awakened ones. But that has been my review of this week's chapter of Mashle Magic and Muscle. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like button and let me know, and if you want to hear more of my ramblings in the future, don't forget to subscribe. I've been the Anonymous Weeb, and I wish you a good day or night wherever you are.